Welcome to the RLCS Season 7, Week 2. I'm Jorby. With me is Achieves. And Achieves, if you asked around the community leading up to today, what match are you most excited for? A lot of them would say G2 versus Rogue, and you could really understand why with the matchup we have with Kronovi against this former team.
Yes, it is the classic grudge match. They touched about it a little on the desk. Keys to victory, though, of course, for Rogue. You have to look at what Chicago was able to do last week. He was involved in 11 out of the 12 goals that they scored last week. Not last season. I hope they scored more than 12 goals last season. But absolutely got to find a way to get the ball away from Chicago in the midfield. And, of course, G2 is going to have to be able to not start slow because it did take them a little bit last week to get ramped up versus Space Station Gaming. They can't afford to do that here against Rogue because if it happens, again, you can't always trust you're going to be able to reverse sweep everything, and you'd rather like them to start off quickly.
Yeah, and for Rogue, again, they looked, you and I were talking about it right before we went live, their initial impression, it was better than I think a lot of us expected. While it wasn't exactly what Rogue fans might have wanted for Kronovi and his new team, it's a step forward for this team, and I think a big thing for them is being able to manage the transition game because they put themselves in a lot of positions where they were forced to dive for a lot of the saves and really putting that third man in a difficult position to have to make a tough touch back, and you lose the boost battle that way.
Yep.
You make bad touches that way. So if they can clean that up, they might have a real shot here against G2.
It was I will say a pleasant surprise to see Rogue come out here and look as solid as they had, considering the offseason they did. And I can understand why that could leave Wavepunk to pick Rogue over G2. There is definitely a chance because they all played fairly well. The offense was well spread out. I believe AJ was involved in 7 out of 12, Wonder and Crow involved in 8 out of 6, respectively. So they have a fairly well spread offense. And during the offseason, it was not that pretty and making sure everybody was on the same page and not getting in each other's way. So to see it all come together right at the start of the season was great, and we'll see what happens now with G2 and Rogue in Game 1.
Game 1 going to get underway, and we are off to the races. Starts off the kickoff with Rizzo. Kronovi able to take it over. And Wonder on the next challenge, and Jnaps over looking for Rizzo. Rizzo got there off the backboard, but defended by AJ. And now going the other way, looking for a quick transition. Wonder has to wait for that ball. A little too high for him to chase down. It starts off early, back and forth, about one shot apiece. And AJ wants to get things going off the point. Pass over to Rizzo, back off the back wall. Jnaps with that tap over to Chicago. He finds him, so the challenge is right now really favoring G2. Another pass out. Well, Rizzo gonna take this himself. Off the bounce, awkward position right now for Rogue. AJ finally gets the clear.
And this is really the first opportunity for Rogue to get unstuck from their own half, and we'll see how long they keep it over on the G2 side of things. Not for very long, it would seem, as a nice bump from Chicago in the midfield. Free ball for Rizzo, back post shot, and a nice save from Wonder.
And it's still up high. It is still G2's possession. Another save from Kronovi. He's got to be able to get back to this. He can't. Jnaps picks it up. Now pass deep to Rizzo. Rizzo can't do it. Back to the other side, but forcing Rogue's defense to play this lateral game. In the blue half, and Kronovi barely gets back to it in time as Rizzo ended up smacking it right back to him. Still, the assault continues. Wonder only clear it straight back up. Jnaps off the ceiling. Does he have another touchdown? Kronovi again clearing it back out.
Physicality from G2 really opening a lot of doors. Surprising to not see them be able to find that ball somewhere into the back of the net. So credit to Rogue for keeping everything clear, but still chance after chance for G2. And Rizzo has had a couple of good looks at the net, but just hasn't been able to really square up and get it into a great spot.
Oh, and that pass, tried to get it over to Jnaps. Kronovi picked it off. AJ shot wide, but saved anyway by Jnaps. And a win against Kronovi as Jnaps exits the arena off the demolition. G2 have just, well, they've won every touch and really getting the majority of the challenge, if not all of it, just beating Rogue to the ball every single time, and so much space for Rizzo to start to move down the field. He ended up giving it up to Wonder, almost got the goal, but Jnaps reaches for the save.
And Jnaps led G2 in saves last week. I believe he averaged 2 a game. So he definitely got to showcase that defense that he is so proud of. As not many people really think of Jnaps as a defensive-minded guy, but he's pretty quality in that area of things, as right now G2 on the defense and a free ball for AJ. Can he get some help?
AJ off, can't find that next goal, but flowing in, Wonder, Kronovi to follow up, and Rogue scores first against G2.
And Rogue hang tight for about 2 minutes, I would say, and then they get down to the other half. JNaps and Chicago run into each other, or at least make sure they don't, and unfortunately JNaps can't recover, diving back from the other side of the net that he just crossed. And Rogue on the board first, despite what you might have thought coming in.
I was going to say, surprising maybe to say, after the way the first half of Game 1 went, especially with all of those passes we saw in the blue half, really stretching Rogue's defense. But you have to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. And a good challenge from JNaps. Rizzo up for this off the back wall, or board, and defended by Wonder. Good read by Chicago, back to JNaps, just off the back wall. Rizzo slips it under, and it's saved by Wonder.
And that's 3 or 4 chances now for Rizzo from the start of the game, where he's just had a great chance to put it into the back, and he just can't find the one spot. It's okay, we get him to Game 5, he'll get there, I'm sure.
That's the key for G2. Off the back wall, very high, and Rogue are, every time on this defensive end, just trying to boom this ball away.
Wow.
It's worked the last couple of times. AJ picks this up, able to clear it back to the orange half.
And he really only got that for free because Chicago was thinking about going for a challenge and then gave up on it, as he will again expect Rizzo to be right there, and he just has to make a nice touch. And G2 making sure they don't run into each other, but the past 2 times it's cost them possession, and as well, time continues to tick, time becoming more and more of a factor, but Wonder alone in the midfield, can they beat him?
This has really changed since the first half of the game. That goal for Rogue reset, G2 threatening off the backboard and defended, knocked away by Kronovi. And again, it's just that midfield presence that Rogue was able to gain off of the reset on the kickoff after they did score their first goal. Well, G2 just, they haven't had that same presence that we saw earlier in the game, and they're still hunting for this first goal. And again, a good clear by AJ out off the back wall. Trying to find Chicago, no good. Kronovi found a piece of it, and now it's cleared away by Rizzo, picked up. Chicago can't win the challenge. AJ able to win off the corner. Gonna let it go for Rizzo. AJ collected the boost and gets out.
And a brilliant challenge as well from AJ again. One of the keys to victory, you gotta stop Chicago from getting the ball going the other way, as he was perhaps the biggest reason for them. As Rizzo misses an easy save, Wonder doesn't get enough on it, and JNaps diving from the middle of the box, able to clear it and keep G2 in this with about 10 seconds left, but it doesn't feel like the resources are benefiting them, and they're just stuck, but Wonder misses the clear. AJ can't find it, and Rizzo with a pass upfield.
Looking for only a Rogue member. It's gonna be Wonder, clears it out off the post, and Rogue take game number 1.
And really, the story of this one was Rogue just had to hang on for the first 2 minutes, and then after that, they came at him with a fury out of the midfield, and the ball just stopped going back onto the blue half. And of course, Rizzo, you only see 2 shots, but I don't think that's true. There was at least 3 or 4 that he really could have banged into the net. Obviously, I know the first one in that game, he didn't have any boost, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of those goal line touches.
Yeah, and the first shot out here, Rizzo can't get back to the ball, and Wonder was already going up to challenge the play, so he's already up at the awkward angle, not expecting to even really have a real chance at the ball, and so that's why he wasn't able to put it farther into the net, and heads up by G2 just being able to rotate out quickly and get back to it. Not that it really mattered, and I mean, heading into game number 2, if G2 can get back to that first half form, then I think they put themselves in a solid position, because they forced Rogue to feel like they had to boom the ball every single time they touched it, and every time they would give up possession back to G2 because the press was that far forward.
There was a ton of, physical presence. There we go. That's what I want from G2 versus Rogue in that first half. It really was bang the ball off the backboard, go and smash somebody out of the way, and then somebody's going to be open at the top of the box or the side of the field to put one on target. And it was definitely working for G2. The problem was just it didn't put the ball in the back of the net, so, it seems playing Space Station Gaming last week might have rubbed off on them a little bit. But I think here in game number 2, we see them get it back together. I think they come out swinging as well. The first minute going to be very telling here for G2.
And we will find out how they bounce back, and as we all know, and as Gibbs always astutely points out, look, it's not a true game, a true series with G2 unless they have to sweat.
Unless your heart stops for a few times.
Yeah, it's not fun any other way. A quick pass over to JNaps, back to Chicago, and it's just straight across. Kronovi able to clear that out, but G2 retaining possession. Chicago going for the deep pass to JNaps, just a little too much juice on it.
Yeah, JNaps was expecting that ball to come down a little bit instead of go straight up, right across the ceiling. A nice bump from Wonder in front of the net, and a nice save from G2, but already able to stop that early pressure are Rogue, and now they're threatening. JNaps going to be the first one to it, though, and a welcome clear all the way to the blue half, and not the best clear, but free ball for AJ.
Yeah, wanted to play the angle. AJ off the ceiling, looking for Wonder. Tip down to Kronovi. Kronovi shot just above the crossbar. Wonder tries to slip it down, but a good challenge by JNAPS sends the ball away. So still, G2 on the transition. Off the crossbar is JNAPS getting G2 on the board.
And who else but Chicago to open the door out of the midfield? Had to beat AJ to this ball and just got it over him with a little bit of help from AJ. And JNAPS, of course, he's always going to be there to find the ball towards the back of the net. He put it in the right spot, and G2 on the board in game 2 first.
And JNAPS has been a player that you used to call him the knapsack. Maybe you still do, but a lot of people feel that maybe he started to wane in recent times. But as G2 figures out their place, their identity with Chicago on this team, really starting to find that flow as a complete unit. JNAPS in the corner, fighting against AJ for the ball. He picked up the boost. High value here for Rizzo. Rizzo looking for Chicago, but just a little too far off the ball. Didn't want to overcommit.
Yep.
And able to keep back towards midfield.
And that played well in that scenario because it would have been a huge risk for potentially minimal reward. Rizzo trying to get it on target, went a little too low though, and a nice tip from Chicago back to the midfield line, but he has to win another one. And again, this is a problem that G2 have had. They've had an opportunity to go for a challenge. Yes, they're a little bit far away, but now they've just allowed Rogue onto their own half. They're going to have to struggle to keep them away from the net.
Kronovi flying across, keeping G2 defense on its toes. It is cleared away. Rizzo trying to play this away from AJ. He does, but Wonder has everybody beat to the ball. AJ shot just wide of the post. Tough angle. Kronovi keeps it going. AJ off the back wall, cannot do it. Saved by JNAPS again.
A nice read from JNAPS as well on that one. Kronovi securing his own corner boost, and they want the bump on Kronovi on the back wall. Chicago waiting at the opposite side. JNAPS has a chance. He's going to need some help from his teammates, though, as it's tipped high from AJ, and Chicago will let it go. Again, Rogue hang tough, and a huge block from Kronovi to get Rogue going back on offense.
Ooh, big demo as well from G2 to kill that pass across what would have been a shot on net. And now they head across to the blue half. Chicago, another touch, looking up for JNAPS, but he undercuts it just a tad. And again, physical play continuing to be a factor for both teams. G2, just under half the game left to go. They're the ones holding on to a 1-goal lead here in game number 2. And miscommunication slightly for G2, but nonplussed. And a good challenge as well by JNAPS. They've been solid on that. Quick pass out. Chicago coming in. And just nothing really happening right now for G2, but Rogue haven't been able to move down the pitch. This is the first time in about a minute they've been able to. It's getting tied up as 2 of them, and saving the day is Chicago, flipping back to make a save.
Big save from Chicago because JNAPS and Rizzo just beat themselves, but Rizzo wins a challenge and will escort the ball into the net, give him a huge insurance goal with about 90 seconds left, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Wonder just did not take a good challenge angle, expected that ball to roll up a little bit higher, jumped a little bit too up, and Rizzo just went right through him.
And Rogue, after what was a surprising finish to game 1, really G2 have finally taken back the reins from what we saw in the first 2.5 minutes of the series. And teed down AJ. Looking for Kronovi on the play. Just a slight mishap on the whiff. Rizzo ends up giving way for Kronovi. You're looking for that pressure, but Rogue very spaced out right now. Want to make sure they control that midfield, trying to get those boosts on the return back. So a quick transition is afforded. Kronovi able to win one challenge, but just too far away. And this is only serving G2. These high balls that are taking a while to get to just kill so much time off the clock. Chicago, another boomer down. JNAPS is there. Back to Chicago. Shot and goal for Chicago. Gets the third for G2.
You could see this one coming a mile away. Chicago just right up to JNAPS. And you knew the entire time JNAPS was going to go right back down and let Chicago do whatever he wanted with it. Picked a great spot in the net. 3-0. And that will definitely put game number 2 out of reach for Rogue. But what I really liked in this final minute or so was you saw Chicago go for one challenge in the midfield. That was the big criticism I had through the early part of game 2 and all of game number 1, was sometimes G2 just giving up a little too much space when they could force an option out and let the guy behind him deal with the problem, and that's what just happened. JNAPS was able to come out, help Chicago get that ball upfield, and then 1 or 2 sequences more through, they got the ball upfield and had a nice passing play to really put it out of reach.
Kronovi trying to get over Rizzo on the play as well. Wonder, another challenge out. AJ couldn't get back to the ball in time. And another drive by Rogue, thwarted again for G2. JNAPS with a couple of crucial saves. Chicago especially with a very important save that led to the insurance goal earlier for G2. They tie up this series 1-1. And if you're a G2 fan out there, that is how you want to see your team respond against this Rogue squad.
Absolutely, but they said during the pre-show, be careful, you can't keep allowing 9-10 shots per game, and Rogue right up there with 9 here in this one. So again, credit to JNAP's defense, 2 games in a row now with 4 saves, still getting the job done. But let's take a look at Rizzo's second goal where he just won that challenge in the midfield. This comes off of a JNAP's challenge win, and again, just drove that right through the defender, stuck behind the ball, made sure not to get it by him, and a little miscue from, I believe, we'll see it again. Who was it? AJ, right?
It was
Wonder. There we go.
And even earlier in that sequence, 2 G2 members getting tied up in the corner. It looked like it was going to be a goal for Rogue, but Chicago was able to fly back, make that save, and really start that whole transition. And it put Rogue in a bit of an awkward spot. They weren't completely out of position. They were able at least to respond. Wonder was able to get back and make another challenge. But still, it's difficult because you have to be quick with that. You have to have your read as you're driving into the ball. You have no time to think. So for game number 3 in Rogue, it's just finding that space in the midfield again and find those passes, because they were nailing those passes back in game number 1, and it's what allowed them to kill the ball and kill the clock so well in the second half of that game.
And the other big difference as well, of course, is that physical play from G2. You haven't really seen any of it from Rogue. It's been winning a challenge and then trying to just press the issue and get something through the defensive line. That hasn't really happened. G2 has absolutely been winning the physical side of the Rocket League aspect and have just really thrown a bunch of wrenches into the gears of what Rogue's trying to get the job done. It doesn't always work, but it does make them think a little bit harder than they'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we head into game number 3, this is the pivot series. For which way does the pendulum swing? Kornovi looking out for Wonder, and he wanted to get it out fast. He had to battle a G2 defender for it. It was JNAPS. Challenge in midfield by AJ. Miscommunication by Rogue on the play. Puts him in a tough spot. Kornovi at least able to buy some time for his team to get reset.
And this is your must-win game for Rogue here in game 3. Give yourself 2 chances to take down G2. Because you already know G2 will ramp up slowly but surely, as we saw last week versus Space Station Gaming. A nice reverse sweep. And Rogue, in their last 2 games of their series last week, they didn't score a single goal.
They're definitely hunting still, as they've only scored 1 goal so far in the series. The offensive struggles continue for this team. No lack for shots on net, though. JNAPS blocked out by Kornovi. Wonder trying to slow it down. JNAPS not having any of it. Chicago off the back wall finds Rizzo. Rizzo wins the challenge completely. Back to the ball. Chicago to JNAPS. Into the net. G2. The pass out. They have the lead.
This is just a beautiful job from G2 getting this ball out of the corner. It's so easy for Chicago to just blast that one up towards the back wall and let AJ have a chance, but he takes his time with it, makes sure to get it out towards the top of the box, as far away from the defenders as he could, and a nice read from JNAPS to be right there, right on time, and a well-placed shot under the last man.
Off the kickoff, Kornovi. Back over to Wonder. That challenge will serve G2. That's a great win by JNAPS in midfield. He's done that several times in this series so far. Chicago puts it right to the corner, and G2 are clicking.
It is kind of off kickoff here. It's just JNAPS on the rotate back. Just throws everybody for a loop, and Kornovi can only watch from the net because he knows if he goes for that challenge, he's definitely beat. He has to let Chicago do whatever he wants, and he just was not set up sideways on the line to go any direction. And another expertly placed ball, this time from Chicago.
So after what, at least the first 2 games in the set, they've been largely defensive. And if you want to call defense just a lack of goals, that's what that was.
Here's a chance. Rizzo's kind of all alone for a couple of seconds here. Great job of buying time, though.
Kornovi, a challenge for AJ, back to Wonder, who already got jumped up into it, trying to get in the way. AJ still trying to fight for it. Wonder just teased it down over to Rizzo, and Rogue, I think they put themselves in a bad spot themselves on the offensive half of the field. That's just a tee to JNAPS. Kornovi has to stretch to make another save. Chicago pass out to the middle, looking for Rizzo. Rizzo blocked slightly. Chicago keeps control, looking, and it's blocked away by AJ, but it's still G2's ball.
And how do they clear this? Again, they're sticking the ball in the corner on the G2 side, just like they did to close out game 1. Nice booming clear from Kronovi. It's going to be a slow pickup, though, and they need to find a way to box G2 in here, and Wonder can't win the challenge again. Chicago so successful getting that ball back down to the other end of the pitch.
And all to JNAPS, blocked by Kronovi, already up for it. Rizzo shot high and blocked by AJ. Still, it continues. You see Rizzo, he got that corner boost. G2 also collected all the midfield boost as well. Rogue starting to lose a lot in the tank. JNAP's keeping it going off to the corner. G2 right now clinical in the blue half. The passes out from the corner, not only Chicago, but JNAPS and Rizzo, all of them have effectively used the corner to pass the ball out to the center of the box and not necessarily against the back wall. Much easier for the defense to save balls like that rather than those infield passing plays.
And you're also starting to see Rogue have to give up a couple of challenges that they would rather not, as Wonder gets one from the top of the box. AJ, nice job beating the defender in the midfield. Just got right through JNAPS here, and he didn't even react. He wasn't sure exactly if AJ had the touch. And then off the sidewall and right around him, and Wonder's right there for it.
And good for Wonder to get under or get above the ball so he could get it down and to the right. AJ also kept that pass low, just saying, look, Wonder, just put it where it hurts. And Rogue are able to split the lead in half, looking to tie this game up. Plenty of time to do it. Wonder off the pass, straight down, off the backboard. Kronovi can't get there in time. Still in play, shot on target, off the post, still by JNAPS. G2 retain the lead.
And how do you do it if you're JNAPS? Again, another clutch save, but this one off the ceiling. Kronovi right there for it, can't reach it. And a welcome clear for G2. And Rizzo wisely keeps it as close to him as he possibly can. They need to force challenges, make sure all of them get set on defense for whatever's coming at him. Chicago has to stop one as well. Wonder can't find the right-hand side of the goal. Off the wall, and that is cleared away from Chicago. Rogue pressing so hard, have left everything empty, and that will put it away.
Rogue pulled the goalie on the play, sent the entire house, could not finish it. AJ even got a bump in net. Wonder he hits the post after AJ hit the post earlier, and then Kronovi couldn't finish it. Everybody was on the other back wall, the orange back wall, which led to the open goal. Rogue had to commit everything on the play. They were running out of time. That was the best chance that they had gotten.
Yes.
And they could not do it, and now find themselves down 2. Again, for game 3, G2 is just slowly, it's flown back into their favor. Complete control of the pitch, control of the game. Rogue can't find a lot of room, and when they do, well, it's some heroic saves, and also the 4th man for G2 that really played the factor. Kronovi picks up a goal here off the rebound. 20 seconds left, they're still alive.
And again, they just won a nice challenge in the midfield line that Wonder can't really blame him for not putting that one clean on target. JNAP's wanting to make sure he doesn't get bumped by Wonder there. Takes a little bit of a cut towards the off the line and just takes himself too far. So it's not done yet. Rogue have given themselves enough time for maybe 1 or 2 shots. And we already seen that they can create some great chances in little time.
It's a good carry by Chicago, really forcing a specific touch out of Rogue. Kronovi booms it downfield. Looking, it's blocked by Chicago. One last chance to get this in the air. It's off the corner. Kronovi waiting, blocked away. AJ's there. AJ, he's got Wonder and Kronovi available. It's away from all of Rogue. Kronovi gets to it in time, but it's off the ceiling. Can't get back to it. G2 take it to match point.
And well done from G2 in the middle of that game. The best part of what they were doing, like you talked about it a little bit, they were absolutely commanding the boost over on the Rogue side of things. Like you said, they stole away both corner boosts. They made sure they had at least one of the midfield boosts, and that made it so difficult for Rogue to have enough resources to always be in position, and it started to allow G2 to control more of the map because Rogue is having to give up some challenges that they would normally go for if they had the resources to go up and go for a challenge, and that allowed G2 to continue to press and put on a great lead early on into the game, and then of course put it away at 57 seconds.
And because Rogue are given so few chances, they have to be able to execute on the chances they are given. Again, that entire sequence where all 3 Rogue players ended up hitting some part of the crossbar or the post, and AJ even getting a bump in net and they still can't score. It's really tight when you have so many cars in front of that box. They couldn't do it, but they scored that goal goal. They have plenty more time. The game is tied at that point.
Yep.
It was a 2-goal swing, if you want to think about it that way in that sequence, because that play, they gave up a goal because they sent the house.
Yeah, and they absolutely should have put the ball in the back of the net. Again, they had what, 5, 4.
It was a lot.
12. It was 12 shots this time from Rogue. So it's clearly not an issue of generating chances. They had a couple of great scoring opportunities. They put 2 of them away. And it really could have easily been an overtime game in game number 3, but now it's an uphill battle for Rogue. You have no more lives, and you need to come up with a big win here versus G2. And you've done a great job getting the ball over onto the G2 half, which is what they said might have been one of the biggest problems in the pregame, was you got to find a way to box G2 in. And they've kind of boxed G2 in for short periods of time, but they haven't been able to starve G2 out.
Right, and when they got close, that's when the big clear happens for G2, and you got to give credit to G2's defense, the resilience they've shown in this series against Rogue. JNAPS setting things up. G2 want to close this out now. As much as everybody must love Game 5s, they don't. I don't think anyone loves playing in a Game 5s. So much energy. Rizzo hit down for Chicago and looking for some room right now. Chicago setting up the first solid opportunity for G2, but Rogue's defense making their life difficult. JNAPS the challenge again. Get out to the opposite side of the pitch.
And already, G2 again starting to command the boost on the field, but a nice 1-2 from AJ, and they can't stop it on the goal line. JNAPS, you thought he was in the right place. Chicago actually wins the challenge. JNAPS goes for boost, and this is just a great 1-2. And JNAPS rotating in, had to make sure he didn't get demoed, drove up the wall to avoid it, and just didn't have the speed to get in front of it.
So Rogue finally pick up a goal early. Big tone setter for Game 4. And Rizzo off the side wall. AJ just pops that out. Chicago can't get back to it. AJ controlling off the corner boost and also still plays it away from G2. Kronovi also in the face of Rizzo. Chicago trying to clear this out here. Rogue, this is one of these extended chances, but Kronovi can't make another touch. And G2 get out of harm's way. Off the backboard, caught by AJ.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest clear, as it has allowed G2, that weak touch from the back wall has really just let G2 come so far forward. Thankfully, they got a nice clear over the top of Rizzo, and they bought themselves some breathing room, but that was a real chance for G2 to find an equalizer fast.
When JNAPS making a great challenge, Chicago had some time, but Kronovi quick on his wheels, if you will. Shot on goal for Rogue. Kronovi getting it in for the insurance.
And this miss off the corner is actually what beats Rizzo the most. He's ready for that touch to come through. And since that ball doesn't get tipped off the back wall one more time, because he plays it a little bit slow coming out of the corner, because he's ready for the touch out to the top of the box, and he's geared up to go out at whatever angle it hits. And unfortunately, that missed touch, it just took him out of position. It just bounced right in front of Kronovi, and there was no way Rizzo was ever going to make that back. Chicago and JNAPS kind of hung him out to dry, and he just couldn't handle the 1v2.
Trying to play around the corner. Kronovi back to this. Wonder slowing it down in midfield. A bad challenge for G2. AJ shot just high, but the rebound is for Kronovi. Rogue score their third goal off the miss on the backboard.
They're not threatened at all about looking at match point here. Chicago, it's just a clean missed clear. They got to find the touch. And Rizzo playing the middle of the net to go wherever he needs to, but the shot too fast. And that comes down to execution from G2 there, just like it did in Game 3 for Rogue.
Well, if there was some tension for Rogue at the start of Game 4, they're probably feeling much more relaxed now, giving themselves quite a comfortable lead. G2 on the other side have plenty of time to try to fight back. But Rogue have been aggressive in Game 4. AJ getting bumped out of the way by Rizzo. He still gets back to the ball over to Wonder. Wonder tries to slip it through, and Rizzo able to pick up the save. Kronovi there. The challenge back over to Chicago. Again, Wonder there again. Is able to at least get back to the ball. Bump onto JNAPS, gives Rogue the ball again. And it's been good by Rogue. Even early in the game, before they did get their first goal, they were playing super aggressive, especially in the orange corners, just daring G2 to try to beat them on those challenges, and they've won those challenges. It results in that pass almost another goal. Chicago makes the save, but it's another shot for AJ. He hits it right into Chicago. A fourth goal for Rogue as Kronovi picks it up, and with 1:44 remaining, Rogue are dominating.
And Rogue weren't really doing anything special here. It was literally just chucking the ball into the corner a few times, winning a few challenges here and there, and eventually, just like it has been the case for the past few games, Rogue continued to pressure and pressure and pressure, and finally G2, they actually did get starved out. They couldn't do anything. And game number 4, well and truly, gonna belong to Rogue, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Rizzo gets a lot of touches onto that ball, but G2 really has just been Rogue playing their game better than them in game number 4, Chiefs, as you had just recently pointed out.
11 shots.
A lot of pressure.
Rogue. 11 shots, 1 for G2.
Just great performance. That's why they like to say, especially in Rocket League, the best defense is a great offense. And Rogue had done that previously in this series. G2 may pick up one here. No, they're denied. But they really they had the shots on net every game. It was 10+ shots every single game for Rogue. It just came down to executing, putting the ball in the back of the net. It was that simple for Rogue. This time in game 4, this is this Rogue team when they do have that shot accuracy, they do put it in the back of the net, really stretch G2 out. And G2, they finally get some semblance of possession here late, but you're in essential garbage time when Rogue is up by 4 with a minute left.
This game's totally done. There's nothing else G2 can do except get set for game number 5, and they're just cruising through the final 30 seconds here. And it was just, again, keys to victory. Got to find a way to get the ball away from Chicago. They did that earlier on in this one. And as well, it helps they themselves got out to a nice early lead. Right around the 4-minute mark, right around the 3-minute mark, followed up with another one about 15 seconds later. Here at 11 seconds as well. Just the entire start and middle of this game was all Rogue. And G2 never could find an answer.
And Wonder won every single challenge moving down the pitch, doing it unassisted, And for Rogue, I mean, how else do you make a statement heading into game 5? And how good does Kronovi have to feel heading into this game 5, knowing that you just put on a 5-burger here against G2?
Well, you're not allowed to feel good yet. You got to win the series before you really feel good.
But you do feel better, especially after G2 controlled the game in game number 3, and you feel like, all right, we're really going to have to stretch here in game number 4 to make this work. But they didn't. They really played a textbook game of Rocket League, and they put shots on target. What more do you want me to say for it? Kronovi picking up a hat trick for his team, and I think for a lot of fans of Kronovi and Rogue fans out there, that's what they wanted to see Kronovi do. They wanted to see him kind of take that on the field leadership, if you will, where he's kind of leading the assault and scoring goals for his team and putting his team in a position to win the game, and he did that here in this game. Yeah,
and he got a hat trick in game number 4. He was definitely being that leader. It's like, hey, give me the ball, we'll put the ball in the back of the net. He's got 3 assists from his teammates there, and it was a nice job. AJ assisting 2 of them, and that one, the unassisted one where Rizzo kind of got hung out to dry in the corner, that bounced out and came right back to him. So Kronovi absolutely doing a great job here in game number 4, but you're not done yet. Here's game number 5, and G2 need to find a way to... You gotta stop Rogue somewhere. You're not even sure how so many shots are coming at you. And G2, this is a big game for both of these teams, because again, you look at G2, you say, all right, if we don't win this game we're one of the big 3, we have to win these games against all the lower people so that when it comes to weeks 4 and 5, when we play Cloud9 and Rogue, or Cloud9 and NRG, excuse me, when you play those guys, you have a much better chance of going into that top 4 spot and getting a bye maybe into the regionals for LAN. So this is a big game as well for Rogue, because it can really guarantee a spot in the top 6 if you take one off the big 3. It's huge for both of these guys.
G2 and game 5, name a more iconic duo. Here we go. Off the kickoff, Kronovi dump out to the side. And Wonder getting chipped allows G2 to take this ball. Rizzo tapped up high and saved by Kronovi. Flying in Chicago, trying to keep this in play. Rizzo. Slow ball. JNAP's waiting for the touch from Kronovi, and he's rewarded with the ball. Chicago up high off the back wall. Can't get back to the touch. AJ was there on the defense.
And this is where G2 has been doing so well. Again, stealing away both of Rogue's corner boosts, but here's where it's really been the problem, is that follow-up touch in the midfield. They need to win this one, and they do.
And Chicago off the back wall. Shot by JNAP, saved right into Kronovi's bumpers. And Rizzo just bought a little bit of time. Chicago tried to play the press. He got the midfield boost on his way out. And Rizzo in the corner, G2 starting to feel the pressure. Oh, the crossbar flying in was Wonder looking for the rebound, but G2 hang on.
It's amazing. G2 stealing all the boost in the world, and then somehow Rogue finds a small gap, pushes it out of their own half, and puts a dangerous shot of their own on target. Again, let's see if G2 will try the exact same thing. They've stolen. They've got 2 demos. Can they get one more? It's wide open. Wonder is respawned. Rizzo has to get help from Chicago off the back wall. JNaps is too late. There's the touch, and it's into the corner. Rogue will survive again.
And on top of 2 demos, Kronovi was getting chipped 2 or 3 times. How do G2? You got to be able to score on an opportunity like that. The position of the ball just didn't allow for it. Another touch saved by Rizzo. Kronovi keeping it in play. Wonder wanting to commit, waits for the touch. Can't get it by JNaps, but again, AJ hunting here for Rogue, pressing in the first 2 minutes of the game. All 3 members of G2 tied in the corner, trying to get reset. Kronovi back over to AJ, shot just high. Best chance, that Wonder, AJ, and Kronovi were gonna get so far in the first 2 minutes. That shot blocked. Kronovi slips it under, it's blocked again by JNaps. Wonder picks this up. JNaps has another save. Defensively has kept G2 in so many situations.
And a defensive showcase for both teams here. Quality opportunities on both halves, and somehow, some way, people pull it out of the net.
Midfield, JNaps. AJ's there. Rizzo's in the corner looking for Chicago, but a little too far out. Chicago does get back to the ball. JNaps pulls away, not wanting to overcommit on it. Plays the touch onto Kronovi. G2 can't get it by midfield. Kronovi on the point. And JNaps does a great job keeping the ball close, buying some time for G2. They still can't grab any of these midfield boosts. It's going to make their work in the offensive half difficult. The challenge buys some time for Chicago to at least get a touch onto the ball, but again, G2 was tough for them to really make any movement downfield, as Rogue have been controlling the pitch for the most part in the last 3 minutes.
And again, some double commits from G2 as well, allowing a little bit of extra space for Rogue, and again, they find themselves over on the orange half. So let's see what Rogue can come up with this time.
And certainly a defensive performance for both teams. Only 3 shots allowed on both halves.
A welcome change for G2, I'm sure, as Wonder actually gets it through everybody, and JNaps will just make sure to get it out to safety into the corner. But a nice demo from AJ will again give another couple of opportunities here for Rogue, as cleared away by Chicago into the midfield line.
Wonder back to Kronovi. The shot blocked by JNaps was wide. Kronovi shot blocked again by JNaps. Another stand-up save. AJ blocked by Chicago. Still G2 looking to get out of the orange half. Wonder has the ball and the boost. Kronovi, AJ off the back wall. Wonder back to AJ. Shot blocked by Rizzo to the other side off the sidewall. Not over for Rogue. Kronovi off the back wall, defended by JNaps. Rizzo with the follow-up. G2 survive.
They needed to find somewhere to get it by the midfield line, and finally they have room to breathe, but can they win possession? Wonder it says goodbye Rizzo, and a nice touch from JNaps trying to get it out to space, and finally G2 have gained the ball back, but not for very long. It's punched back onto the orange.
And up high off the ceiling, blocked again by Kronovi. Who makes the first mistake with 30 seconds left in regulation?
G2 have to be praying for overtime here. They need a full reset to get everyone back on the same page. Again, they've had so much success early on in the game, generating early chances, but nothing here.
G2 looking for a gap, starting with Chicago. Off the back wall, looking, open angle, maybe Rizzo! No, it's wide of the posts. Wonder clearing it away. AJ on the follow-up, takes a pot shot down towards the corner. JNaps just trying to keep it close. He can't do it. Wonder, he is blocked out. Boom, downfield. G2, they get the overtime they need to reset.
And you need to win this ball if you're G2 Esports, because Rogue, they've already shown you in the past few games, they'll break you down and score a few on you.
Pass out, Kronovi up high. It's blocked again by Chicago. Great backboard defense from both teams in game number 5. Tee out, AJ forced to make a save. Kronovi finds the touch out, he beats Rizzo to the ball, but it's affording JNaps to the corner. Kronovi again, looking for some space for his team. Tee out to Rizzo, Chicago, shot on, and it's a goal for G2! They win in game 5 overtime, picking picking up a win against Rogue.
And a beautiful job from Chicago here, not punching that ball into the corner again, because he knows if he does that, it's going to go right to Rogue. They're going to clear the ball away, and we're going to go back into the possession game that Rogue has won so dominantly. And Chicago asks for help. Rizzo's there, right back to him.